Respected listener. Before you take another sip of your favorite drink, I want you to pause for just a moment and listen carefully, because what I'm about to share with you tonight might change the way you see your morning routine forever. You see, as a doctor, I've spent decades watching hearts fail not because of bad luck or genetics, but because of silent habits people never questioned, habits that began with something as harmless as a drink in their hand. The truth is, after the age of 50, your heart becomes more vulnerable than ever. The body changes quietly. Arteries that once flowed freely start to stiffen. The heart muscle works harder to push blood through vessels that have lost their youth. And small imbalances, things you could once ignore, begin to echo like thunder inside your chest. But here's the danger. Most people don't see it coming, because the enemy doesn't always wear a warning label. Sometimes it hides in a glass. There are certain drinks we trust, drinks we've grown up with, shared with friends, taken to work, or used for comfort after a long day. Yet behind their familiar taste, they carry secrets your heart cannot tolerate forever. I've seen strong men collapse during a morning jog because of years of daily choices they thought were harmless. I've seen women in their 60s, who looked perfectly healthy, suddenly facing heart rhythm issues, chest pressure, and fatigue, all traced back to what they consumed every single day. And no, I'm not here to scare you, I'm here to awaken you. Because once you understand how your body reacts, once you see what these common drinks truly do, you'll never see them the same way again. Think of your heart as a loyal friend. It never complains, it just keeps working. But one day, after years of silent struggle, it breaks down. And by the time you notice, it's often too late. When we cross 50, our metabolism slows, the liver filters less efficiently, and our tolerance for hidden sugars, stimulants, and chemicals drops dramatically. What your body could handle at 30 can now be dangerous. That's why every choice, even something as small as what fills your cup, starts to matter. Every sip has a consequence. So before we go further, I want you to imagine this. You wake up, pour your favorite drink, take a sip, and feel that familiar comfort. But deep inside, your blood pressure is already rising. Your arteries are tightening. Your heart is trying to keep up. The drink that gives you energy, sweetness, or relaxation might be the same one stealing years from your life. I've watched patients who swore they were living healthy. They exercised, slept well, took vitamins. But their one mistake, one repeated every single day, was what they drank. And when I showed them the truth, the shock on their faces was always the same. Because no one ever told them that these everyday drinks, the ones we see in ads and grocery shelves, could be quietly damaging the very organ keeping them alive. And tonight, I want to tell you about those drinks. The ones so common, so familiar, you may already have them in your kitchen. But before I reveal them, you must understand something deeper, the way your heart reacts, not instantly, but over time. Because damage rarely happens in a moment. It's built sip by sip, day by day. This isn't about fear, it's about awareness, the kind that gives you control back over your health, your energy, your future. And once I show you how these drinks affect the heart, you'll see exactly why so many people after 50 begin to feel tired, dizzy, or emotionally drained without ever knowing the reason. What you drink becomes the blood that flows through your veins. It becomes the rhythm of your heartbeat. And sometimes the most comforting drinks are the most dangerous ones. So let's begin with the first, one that millions rely on daily, thinking it helps them stay sharp, when in truth, it slowly burns the heart from within. It's the one that wakes you up, keeps you alert, and has become almost sacred in the modern routine: coffee. You see, caffeine is not the enemy itself. In moderation, it can sharpen the mind, improve focus, and even lift mood. But as we age, our body's relationship with caffeine changes in ways few people understand. The same amount that energized you at 30 can strain your heart at 50. Your liver metabolizes caffeine slower, your adrenal glands are more sensitive, and your blood vessels react differently. What happens next is subtle but real. A steady increase in heart rate, a narrowing of blood vessels, and a surge of stress hormones that were meant for moments of danger, not daily living. Over time, this creates a constant state of tension within the cardiovascular system. The heart starts beating harder, not just faster. And for someone already dealing with mild hypertension or cholesterol buildup, that extra push can turn into damage. I've seen patients whose blood pressure spiked not because of medication failure or diet, but because they couldn't let go of that third cup of coffee. The danger grows when caffeine isn't alone, when it's mixed with sugar, syrups, or creamers. Each addition transforms that simple cup into a metabolic storm. Sugar feeds inflammation, spikes insulin, and forces the arteries to endure more pressure. What begins as morning comfort becomes an invisible weight pressing down on the chest. I've watched countless people ignore the subtle signs, the skipped heartbeat, the sudden dizziness, the brief flutter they laugh off. But the heart never laughs. It remembers every stress, every stimulant, every push beyond its limits. And just as caffeine hides in coffee, another drink hides its danger behind sweetness and bubbles. Soft drinks, the cold, refreshing reward many crave, are among the most deceptive threats to a heart over 50. They deliver not refreshment, but an overload of sugar and acid that erode your arteries and imbalance your electrolytes. People often believe a diet version is safer, but those artificial sweeteners trigger insulin confusion and metabolic chaos. They make your brain crave more sweetness, your pancreas overwork, and your heart pay the price. With every can, you invite inflammation to settle inside your arteries. The lining of your blood vessels, called the endothelium, becomes irritated. And once it's damaged, it begins to trap cholesterol particles, the first step in building the plaques that narrow your arteries and choke your blood flow. Over years, the simple joy of a fizzy drink can become the foundation of heart disease. But there's something even more heartbreaking. I've seen people who replaced meals with energy drinks, thinking they were boosting vitality. Yet those cans are like silent detonators. They combine caffeine, sugar, and synthetic stimulants that overwhelm an aging heart. For a younger body, they create temporary performance. For a body past 50, they can trigger palpitations, arrhythmias, and even sudden cardiac events. Your heart was never designed for chemical jolts. It was made for natural rhythms, calm recovery, and balance. The tragedy is that we live in a world that celebrates stimulation, constant motion, no rest, always pushing. But the human heart, especially after 50, craves the opposite. It needs steadiness, not spikes. It needs gentle care, not constant acceleration. I tell my patients, your heart has carried you for half a century. The least you can do now is protect it from what exhausts it. When they listen, I see transformation. The morning fatigue fades, the blood pressure settles, the sleep improves. But those who ignore it, who say just one more cup, often come back to me months later with fear in their eyes. Because suddenly, their heart no longer feels steady. And once that balance is lost, regaining it becomes a battle. So if you're listening now, remember this. The drinks you love may not love you back, especially as you grow older. But the story doesn't end here, because there are still a few more common drinks, ones most people never suspect, that slowly weaken the heart's resilience in ways that even medicine struggles to reverse. And the next one hides behind the image of purity. A drink that seems harmless, even healthy, but consumed the wrong way, it quietly chips away at your heart's strength. It's water. Yes, the purest, most essential element of life. But not all water is the same, and not all ways of drinking it are harmless. Over the years, I've met people who believed they were doing everything right, drinking plenty of water, staying hydrated, avoiding sugary drinks, yet their hearts were still under silent strain. When I looked closer, I found the problem wasn't the water itself, but what it carried within it and how they used it. Many rely on bottled or processed water without realizing the minerals that protect the heart. Magnesium, potassium, and calcium are stripped away during purification. What's left is what we call dead water, lacking the trace minerals your body needs to keep your heartbeat stable. Without these minerals, the electrical rhythm of your heart becomes fragile. That's when you start to feel that strange weakness, a sense that your energy has faded, your pulse feels uneven, or your hands get colder than they used to. Then there's temperature. It may sound simple, but gulping down ice-cold water, especially after meals or workouts, can shock the system. The sudden chill tightens blood vessels, forcing your heart to pump harder against that resistance. Over time, this reflex, repeated every day, puts strain on arteries that have already lost their youthful elasticity. And in some cases, it can even trigger spasms in coronary vessels, the very ones supplying your heart muscle with life. I remember one patient, a kind man in his late 50s. He'd stopped all sugary drinks and only drank chilled water. He felt proud of the change, yet every night his chest felt tight, his heartbeat fluttered, and he couldn't understand why. When we adjusted his habit, letting his water rest at room temperature, adding a pinch of mineral salt once a day, his heart calmed. He was stunned that something so small could make such a difference. But the human body is built on balance, not extremes. Even purity can harm when taken without wisdom. And that same rule applies to another drink many older adults lean on: fruit juice. It looks healthy, it feels natural. But once fruit is stripped of its fiber, what remains is concentrated sugar disguised in color and flavor. One glass can carry as much sugar as a soda, yet because it feels natural, we drink it freely. Your blood sugar rises, your insulin surges, and the arteries that feed your heart begin to inflame. Day after day, this constant rise and fall becomes a slow erosion of cardiovascular health. It's not just about the sugar, it's about what the sugar does to your hormones. It tells your liver to store fat, your pancreas to overwork, your heart to fight harder. And soon, the rhythm of your heartbeat, the very pulse of your life, begins to stumble under that pressure. Some people replace meals with juice, thinking it's cleansing their system. But the truth is, without fiber, those natural sugars enter your bloodstream faster than your body can handle. What feels like energy is actually imbalance. And yet, the most dangerous part is that it feels innocent. Juice is colorful, sweet, comforting. It reminds us of childhood, of health, of morning sunshine. But inside the body, especially after 50, it tells a different story. One of strain, fatigue, and slow inflammation that creeps through arteries unseen. The body after 50 is like a wise old tree, strong but sensitive to change. It no longer recovers from extremes the way it once did. Every drink, every choice becomes part of that delicate balance between vitality and fatigue. And if you've reached this stage of life, you know that what you feel each morning, that energy or that tiredness, comes from the silent choices you made the day before. But there's still one more drink left. One that so many people believe helps them relax, socialize, or unwind. It's often poured in moments of joy or sorrow. Yet, it's also one of the most deceptive allies of heart damage, especially for those whose bodies have already given decades of service. And before I reveal that last one, I want you to take a breath and think of your heart as it is right now, still beating faithfully, still carrying you through every moment. What it needs is not fear, but truth. And the truth about this final drink will make you see why protecting your heart isn't just science. It's love in its most practical form. It's the drink that has woven itself into culture, comfort, and celebration. Alcohol. A glass of wine with dinner, a beer after a long day, a toast among friends. It feels harmless, even heartwarming. For years, people believed that moderate drinking was good for the heart, that a little wine could protect against disease. But when you look deeper, especially after 50, the truth becomes unsettling. Alcohol is a subtle deceiver. It relaxes you in the moment, yes, lowers your guard, slows your mind, but inside, your heart is fighting a different battle. Alcohol affects the electrical rhythm that keeps your heartbeat steady. Over time, it can weaken the muscle itself, a condition called cardiomyopathy, where the heart loses its strength to pump efficiently. And once that happens, no medicine can fully reverse it. I've seen people who drank only on weekends, thinking moderation meant safety. Yet even those small, regular doses were enough to disturb their heart's natural rhythm. A skipped beat here, a faint flutter there, signs they ignored until one night, it turned into something far more serious. The human heart, especially after decades of use, is like an instrument that's played every day. The more we expose it to stress, toxins, and strain, the more its tone begins to falter. Alcohol also dehydrates the body, thickens the blood, and interferes with the absorption of essential vitamins like B1 and magnesium, both vital for a strong heartbeat. For someone already fighting high blood pressure, cholesterol, or diabetes, that extra glass doesn't soothe the body. It silently accelerates the damage. And what's cruel is that it doesn't happen overnight. It builds quietly, a few years, a few habits, until one day you feel tired after climbing stairs, your pulse feels heavier, and you wonder why your energy has faded. But the answer is always the same: the heart remembers everything. every celebration, every excess, every late-night drink that promised comfort but left exhaustion in its wake. It keeps a record. Yet even in this truth there is hope, because the heart is also forgiving. When you change, it responds. When you stop feeding it stress, sugar, and stimulants, it begins to heal. It won't happen in a day, but day by day, you'll feel the difference. Lighter breath, calmer pulse, steadier energy. I've seen people in their 60s and 70s completely turn around their cardiovascular health by making simple, consistent changes to what they drink. They replaced coffee with herbal infusions, soda with sparkling mineral water, juice with fresh fruit, and alcohol with calming teas. Their color returned, their sleep deepened, their energy came back. Because when the heart is freed from burden, it thrives. It doesn't need miracles, it just needs mercy. And that's what I want you to remember. Every drink you choose from this day forward is either healing you or harming you. Your body is not demanding perfection, it's asking for awareness. If you can give your heart that, it will give you life in return. Longer, stronger, calmer life. So tonight, when you stand in your kitchen, glass in hand, I want you to look at it differently. Ask yourself, is this comfort or is it quiet destruction? Because deep down, you already know. And now that you know the truth about these 5 drinks, the ones most people never suspect, the question isn't whether your heart can survive them. It's whether you're ready to let go of what's slowly holding you back. My friend, if you've listened to these words till the very end, then I know something in your heart has already awakened. You see, most people spend their entire lives treating their body like a machine, feeding it, running it, pushing it, until one day the engine falters and they finally stop to ask why. But you're not one of them. You've paused, you've chosen to listen, and that single act means your healing has already begun. The truth is, your heart is not just an organ, it's the rhythm of your entire existence. It carries your laughter, your fears, your love, your dreams. It beats when you're strong and when you're broken. And for over 50 years, it's carried you without complaint. But now, it's asking for something in return. Not medicine, not miracles, just mercy. The world will tempt you with habits that promise comfort. The morning caffeine, the evening drink, the quick sweetness that feels like joy. But you know better now. You've seen what hides behind that comfort. The silent strain, the quiet fatigue, the heartbeat that grows weaker with each careless choice. And it's not because you were reckless, it's because no one ever told you the truth. But you know it now. And that truth is powerful. Because once you see what harms you, you hold the key to what heals you. Every day, from this moment on, you have the chance to choose life. In every sip, every breath, every heartbeat. So tomorrow morning, when the sun rises and you reach for your first drink, remember this moment. Remember that your heart is still with you. Faithful, forgiving, waiting to be cared for. Treat it as your oldest friend, because that's exactly what it is. And when you start to feel the difference, the calm pulse, the easier breath, the quiet strength, don't keep it to yourself. Tell someone you love. Because healing is not just personal, it's contagious. You can rebuild your energy, you can outlive fear, you can make your next decade stronger than the last. Not by chasing youth, but by honoring the life that's still inside you. Your heart has never given up on you. Don't give up on it now. This is Health Decoded, where we uncover the truth your body has been trying to tell you all along. Take care of your heart. It's the only sound that has been with you since the beginning. And if you treat it right, it will be the last sound that says you lived fully. Stay strong, stay aware, and always stay alive inside.